When Charlie Baker announced he was running for governor again this year, he said this time would be different. Voters would get to know the real Charlie Baker. And to that end, the GOP standard bearer recently released a video titled Brothers, featuring his brother Alex and detailing the intensely personal reasons behind Baker's support for same-sex marriage.
You remember exactly what you said to Mom. You don't remember exactly what you said to me, because I do.
What did I say?
You said, what would you say if your brother told you he was gay? That's what you said.
I have a hypothetical question for you. Did I really?
What would you say? What would you say if your brother said he was gay? And I remember that.
Hilarious.
And so I said, I'd say it's no big deal.
June 18th, 2014, Butch and I will have been legally married for 10 years. And part of me just keeps hoping that the rest of the country can look at Massachusetts and realize, you know, it isn't that big a deal.
And Charlie Baker is here. Welcome.
Well,
good to have you, Charlie.
Happy to be here. Good to see you.
So why did you decide now? You didn't do this the last time around you ran for a governor. Why now did you bring that issue in about your brother?
Well, I think I did talk about it in 2010 as well. I think in this particular case, you had the 10-year anniversary of the legalization of gay marriage in Massachusetts on May 17th, which actually happens to be the same day as my brother's 53rd birthday, which is pretty interesting. And the medium, the ability to create videos like that is far more accessible than it was certainly 4 years ago. But I think Massachusetts should take great pride in the fact that it led the charge on this one. And for people like my brother and for our family, it was special. I mean, the biggest thing my mother and father always worried about, and they were hugely supportive of, I call him Sandy, everybody else calls him Alex, when this issue arose back in the 1980s when he came out to us, was that he wouldn't be able to find somebody to spend the rest of his life with. And I'm telling you, he and Butch were very happy when they got married 10 years ago, but you could just see the glow on my parents. It was very, very special for them.
Back then, it was hard, and it's still hard, you know, for some gay people to come out. Did you feel uneasy at all? I mean, of course, he's your brother and you loved him, but did you feel any sense of awkwardness about it?
No. No, in fact, he was actually a little more awkward, I think, about it than me, that weird third-party way he asked the question in the first place. Yeah. But he had called me up and said, I have to see you and I have to see you now. And I was literally, we're 4 years apart, so it's not like we hang out together. So when your brother calls you up and says he absolutely has to see you and he has to see you right this minute, as you go drive over to visit him, your mind's racing with thoughts about what it could be, you know. Borrow money from bad people, does he have a drug addiction? I mean, what could this be? And when he finally told me what it was, I was actually kind of
relieved.
Yeah.
I can understand that. Well, there's a couple of issues that are roiling around here right now. One of them is around this Secure Communities program. Yeah. Somerville Mayor Joseph Curtatone has opted out of it. He's saying, listen, I'm not going to have my police force, you know, putting people under arrest simply because they're undocumented. He was actually on Boston Public Radio for a little bit this morning. Here's a little bit of what he said.
One case of a person being picked up because of an immigration status sends tremendous negative reverberation throughout the entire community. People just back away, and we've seen it.
So what he's saying is that people won't come forward if they know something, if they saw something, if they've witnessed a crime, because they're afraid for their own status that they will be picked up and that deportation proceedings start. Where do you stand on that?
Well, I think obviously I support this is a society of immigrants, and I think we all know that. And the vast majority of the people who come here from other countries come here to seek a better life, and we should be supportive of that. But I do think, and there is evidence, and a lot of it's been compiled by the Obama administration, that Secure Communities, when implemented and acted on appropriately, has been an effective tool in removing some really bad actors from our streets and our communities. And obviously there's the policy and then there's the execution. And if there are issues with the way the policy is being executed, we should deal with those.
That's the problem, because fewer than half that have been deported have had any kind of a criminal record.
Yeah, but I think when I've talked to a lot of folks in law enforcement, I've talked to police chiefs, I've talked to district attorneys, and they certainly believe it is an important part of their arsenal with respect to their ability to do their work and to do their jobs. Now, the mayor certainly has a right to do what he thinks makes sense in Somerville. But I continue to believe that the program conceptually makes sense and that we should work with the feds to make sure it's implemented in the most appropriate way possible.
Okay, so this libertarian blogger, David Sirota, who we know a little bit here, has been all over you for getting $10,000 to the Chris Christie campaign a couple of years ago. And then the New Jersey Pension Fund turns around and invests $15 million in the company that you used to work for, General Catalyst. You're saying you weren't a partner there, and therefore you were just independent of them. They list you as a partner slash something rather in
XIR,
residence and whatever, executive in residence slash partner.
Right.
Your LinkedIn page says you're just an executive in residence.
Right.
Which is it?
I'm just an executive in residence. I'm not a. And by the way, I've been completely transparent about all of this, and I didn't do anything wrong.
No, but was there a quid pro quo there at all?
Oh no. I mean, Governor Christie was very helpful to me when I ran for governor in 2010. He came through Massachusetts to go to a fundraiser in 2011, early in 2011. And my wife and I attended that fundraiser and we donated. But the donation we made was completely permissible. I'm not an employee, nor have I ever been an employee of General Catalyst. And there are a lot of other people, by the way, who have the same status I do, who work with General Catalyst, who are domain experts, but who are not, in fact, employees of the firm. And it's a fairly standard practice in venture capital to work with people who have particular expertise in particular areas to help you seek out interesting companies to invest in.
All right. Well, Martha Coakley, Attorney General, who's also running for governor, has said that the SEC should look into this. Of course, she had her own campaign finance issues. She too was commingling funds, is a simple way of putting it, using state money from a state race into her federal race. But is it something that you would appreciate having them look into and clear it?
Well, I think, as I said, I've been completely transparent about the donations that I've made. The donation I made was, in fact, permissible. I think it was fully vetted by the parties that were involved. And frankly, if I was the Attorney General and I had to deal with what's been going on with the Health Connector and what's been going on with DCF and what's been going on with some of the other things on Beacon Hill, I might want to talk about other stuff too.
All right. One other thing. In the run-up to the DCF Commissioner Olga Roche's departure, you had called for her resignation a while before. But as governor, you're going to have to support your people. I mean, I don't know how you feel about Steve Crosby, the same thing. These are people that you put in place, and you want to back them. And I did some research on this, and I went back to the 80s. Virtually every DCF commissioner that we've had, more than two-thirds have been run out of town over some dreadful, horrible child abuse case, caused by some incompetent parent or guardian. I mean, is this, if you put somebody in place and that happens to that person too, will you call for their resignation?
Well, let me just remind you on a couple things, and your audience. One is that when the Jeremiah Oliver case first broke, which is where this all started at DCF, I got asked if I wanted the commissioner to resign, and I said no. I said, I just want to see the plan. What are they going to do to restore confidence in the people who need to use DCF and who are whose kids are in care and custody of DCF, but also what's the plan for the public at large to believe that the agency is going to get back on the right track? And I put a plan out. This was back in January. And I said, here's my plan. You can use this one or somebody else's. I don't care, but there needs to be a plan. And then I waited for weeks for somebody to put a plan out there. And even today, Emily, one of the things that bothers me the most about what's going on with DCF is we're all debating about the adults, okay? This is really should be about the kids, and I'm still looking for the plan. I want to see the plan.
I'd like to see anybody who could fix a plan that parents don't abuse their kids. I'd like to see that plan.
Oh no, but the plan. Well, you and I, we have a little more time. We should talk about that.
We don't right now.
Right.
Charlie Baker, thanks for coming.
It's good to see you.
You're coming.